for pairing.
Squidward.
Waiting for pairing.
Waiting for pairing.
That's not how you usually say it.
Waiting for pairing.
Excellent.
What are we talking about?
I don't know. I know the last thing that we said in the previous podcast was talking about fear of success, and I think that is fucking brilliant because that is rough. It's rough and fascinating. Oh.
Bum, bum, bum.
In mid-sentence.
Yes, I cut you off because I knew that there was going to be goodness.
All
so
right.
here we are. We're back.
Happy Monday, guys. Hey, it's actually Monday this time. That's crazy.
It is. That's weird. It's like late Monday, though.
Right?
Interesting.
Second night podcast, but...
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's different.
A new Monday, a new week, ready to crush your dreams. Starting it off with a tasty conversation from us.
Us. We, the Dream Crushers. For those of you who may be new or haven't listened to it before, my name is Kyle.
We're introducing ourselves? We're like on episode 30 almost already.
People will just chime in randomly sometimes. They don't know.
Oh, that's true. That's
I
true,
was
I
cueing
guess.
you to say your name next.
My name is Aaron Michael Miller. My friends call me Man Candy.
Oh.
You can call me Man Candy.
Okay. I just call him Aaron, but do as you please.
I said my friends call me Man Candy.
Oh, zing. Anywho, just wanted to reintroduce ourselves for those of you who may not know. If you're just tuning into this one randomly, we have a little podcast. We got some other episodes up there, so check those out. We'd appreciate that if you like them.
One thing I'm going to start saying is I hate it when people say, hey, subscribe. But at the same time, if you guys don't know, we do this weekly. Every week we put one out. So subscribe.
Please.
So you know when one comes up.
Yeah. Especially if you like them.
Right?
You could still do it if you don't like them. We'd still take it.
Anywho, the last podcast, we ended it talking about fear of success. And that's a fantastic topic, I think. Because I remember when I first learned about it, I thought it was absurd. That it just sounded silly. Because I had just started my journey of trying to better myself. And I think it was my best friend and photography buddy that first told me about the fear of success. And I thought it was absurd. Because why would you fear anything positive?
Yeah.
But it's a very real thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what do you think, or your opinion, I guess, what is fear of success?
Well, I would say for me there's a couple pieces to it, because I have definitely experienced this more so lately with trying to go after things and be more productive and gain success and all that. I've felt it before in life, like when trying to do other things as well, but not so much as like right now with like businessy type stuff, where trying to start a business and do this and that. And for people that don't really understand what we're talking about, to break it down a little bit first, for me it's like things start picking up, and say like I'm gonna do photography stuff, and I start taking pictures, post some pictures, and then all of a sudden I get like 4 people that are interested, and I'm kind of like, oh my god, like what now? Like, what am I gonna do? There's so many. Am I gonna have time? Am I gonna be good enough? Are they gonna like the pictures? And then you just kind of go through this whole thing of like,
Right.
What am I gonna do? A little bit scared. Same thing with like fabrication stuff. If I'm making a shelf or piece of furniture, and I get a couple people that are like, oh, I want something, and another person, oh, I want something now. I'm like, oh, here it is. Like, it's kind of picking up, because businesses kind of have, you kind of have this on-ramp, you know? You're trying to build it up and make it something, and there's usually some moment when it kind of starts building up a little bit, and it kind of snowballs. It gets really busy really quick, or you get a couple things that kind of hedge you off to have enough money to invest back into the business, just stuff like that. And it's kind of scary. And so for me, I would say what kind of causes it is there's a couple things. One, just the physical work, having to do the thing now that you've been trying to do, but now you're committed to it. There's no backing out. You got to make sure you have enough free time. So you got to make sure that you really want it, you really like it. This is what you want to do because you're kind of committed to it. Another thing I think is change. Change is difficult for people.
Right.
So now you're going from somewhat stagnant, and you've always kind of done things low key, small. You say taking pictures, you only did, family and friends, or say fabrication stuff, furniture stuff. You've only made a couple small little projects, and now somebody's asking you to go out of your comfort zone. They want you to make this new thing that you've never done before, maybe, or they want you to mass produce a bunch of something that you have made. And change can just be kind of scary. You're not really sure what's going to come of it. And I think fear of success is mirrored from fear of failure. If things start picking up and they start getting really good, and you're afraid they're getting too good, I think kind of in the back of your mind is fear that it might go bad after that. It might be bad, and falling from this higher place of success is going to hurt a lot more than falling from maybe just you're kind of stagnant where you're at.
That's interesting.
It's with bigger success, there's also bigger failure. So I think that kind of couples with it. What do you think?
So it's kind of a cross between wondering if you're adequate.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I thought it was funny when you said that it's starting to pick up, and you're wondering if you really want it the way you thought you wanted it.
Yeah.
Because that's hilarious to me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I've experienced some stuff like that where, for me personally, it's fabrication, and that is my favorite thing. I love to fabricate stuff. I love to build something out of nothing. I love the trickiness of certain things where I actually have to get in there with my mind and, solve problems and figure out different ways of doing things. But then if it doesn't go perfectly, I get really frustrated really fast.
Yeah.
And that's when I start thinking, fuck, dude, is this really what I want to do forever? Because this is what I've dreamed of forever, but I am not having fun right now.
Yeah, I didn't dream about the shitty part.
Yeah, exactly. It's always just there's so many people that do it professionally that are really good, and that's what they're known for. Kind of kind of a little private dream of mine is to be like the next Chip Foos, but better. Some less two-tone, I guess. But I just wanted to be known for what I'm capable of. But then when I get into it and I start doing it, I realize all the shit that sucks starts coming out.
Mm-hmm. All the stuff you don't see.
I feel like that may be where my fear comes in.
Yeah.
I really thought I wanted this. I really did. And that may be kind of why I'm branching off into furniture a little bit as well, because I'm reaching out, trying to find that thing that challenges me the same way, able to make stuff, but isn't quite as mentally taxing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a different field. And another thing too, with talking along the lines of enjoying it, is this something I really want to do? It's you don't really know until you do the thing.
Yeah.
It's easy to dream and say, yeah, I want to become a roof painter. That would be so fun. I get to be on the roof all day. And it's you do it, and you're oh, I got to carry this heavy shit up a ladder all day. I'm up here in the sun. I'm thirsty. I'm tired. It's hot. I got to work through summer. And, it's
right.
You may not realize all of the little nasty details that go into it. So, yeah, it definitely, tests you. Is this really what you want to do? If it is, you push through those times. if it's not, like, you learn pretty quick 'cause you usually fold up. You know, there's been a few things for me that were like that, where I kind of wanted to try it out, ventured out, and it was like whatever happened, it wasn't what I thought it was, or it was too difficult for the amount of joy I got out of it, and I'm like, meh, not for me.
All right. I think that fear of success kills a lot of people before they even get that far, though, and I think that's the interesting part. And I think it can be explained by the thing that you said, the comfort zone thing. I think that's the big killer right there, is because people will sabotage themselves before they even get to that point where they're doing the work and they're like, "Fuck, this isn't as fun as I thought it would be."
Yeah,
it's like they'll sabotage themselves before they even get the job. Like, they'll find somebody that will be interested in doing whatever it is they do, and they'll find some way of backing out of it because they freak out. And it's that comfort zone thing where this is different from what I'm used to, and difference is very scary.
Yeah, that's kind of like you see with a lot of like famous people that get super successful and popular. A lot of times they end up self-sabotaging, you know? It's like you get a UFC fighter or somebody who's like in the limelight and they're super popular, super successful, and they're really good at this thing, and then it's like they become a drug addict or an alcoholic, or they get 3 DUIs and crash into somebody, and you're like, what is this person doing? Like, they have everything. What are they doing? And I think a lot of it's like in the back of their head, they got this feeling like they gotta crush themselves for some reason. They gotta bring themselves down, or I'm not really sure what that is, but it kind of seems like
I always just figured it was because people are exposed to, you know, for one, a lot more money than they've ever had, and they don't really know what to do with it. But I feel like being in the limelight, isn't it just like where all the parties and all this stuff happens, and so you'd kind of just get sucked in, I imagine.
Yeah, that too. But I mean, there's other people that it's not even like a glamorous party life that brings them down. It's like they're doing some weird grungy shit. You know, and it's just like it doesn't seem to make sense. Like, why would you do that? But
maybe it's that same thing though. Maybe they've been dreaming of this since they were a kid, and then they get into it. And I know I've heard that a lot, is, you know, there's like, for example, I was just listening to this guy, the author of Do They Serve Beer in Hell and all that. Have you ever heard those?
Never read any of those.
They're a little bit older now, but regardless, this guy was a best-selling author for several, you know, kind of these college you know, drinking party kind of books, like a whole bunch of them, and he was just basically a piece of shit, but he was proud of it, and that's what made him the money. And he straight up said that, you know, that's what he was looking for. He was looking for fame, and when he got it, they even had made a movie about him, and he's just like, I'm here. This is where I wanted to be, but this is not what I thought it was. And so he kind of just got depressed from there on, and I wonder if maybe that's similar for these people that have been chasing this dream their entire life, and then they finally get into it, and they're like, man, this is not what I thought it was, and I still got this hole, this void. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's kind of deep, but
yeah, that as well, and that's kind of different than fear of success, I guess. But,
a little bit.
But yeah, so what do you think? What do you normally do that helps you get through it when you get that fear?
I listen to a lot of self-motivation kind of stuff, and just personality building and stuff like that. And I just know that fear is one of the biggest, even though I haven't even really been doing it all that much, fear is one of the biggest setbacks, biggest obstacles. And so when I get scared, I feel weird answering this question because I really haven't gotten that far yet. I mean, I'm very happy with how far I've come in this short period of time, but there's not really a position yet to, you know, like say, yeah, this is the way to do it. But
there's there's levels to it, you know. Maybe you haven't had like your giant leap of success, and so you haven't had to deal with that fear.
Right.
But there's still small steps along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I've been pretty open with you. As soon as it happens, I'm like, oh, here it is. I'm like, it's starting to pick up, and I'm terrified. Like,
right.
I almost feel like I don't want to do it. Just cancel everything.
That's just it, though. I don't know. One of my affirmations that I've been doing in the morning is that I am more powerful than my fears.
Ooh.
And so the things that scare me are actually not necessarily the things that I chase after, but I certainly don't back away from them.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily like I will always back away from skydiving. That's not really what I mean. But I mean, it's just the things where I can stop and I think about it for a second. I was like, is this going to kill me? No, it's not going to kill me.
Yeah, let's just go for it.
My biggest example of that so far, even still, was the suicide doors, which I think I probably would get a lot of flack from. But when I accepted the job, I had never done it before, and it scared the shit out of me. But I did have enough confidence that I figured I probably wouldn't be able to figure it out immediately, but I would be able to figure it out because I know what my skills are, and I know I'm good at problem solving and stuff like that. So, yeah, basically when he asked me and I got scared and I said, yeah, I can do that. I'm good. Let's do this. We'll figure it out. And it ended up, it took me way longer than I ever thought it would, but they turned out great. And
yeah, they turned out really good.
I don't regret that so far. I mean, I would say a good 80% of my work now comes from people that saw that project. Yeah.
That was a killer project filled with many, many complications. I remember going over there many times, and you're like, fuck this shit, dude. This is such garbage. I fucking hate this whole thing.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, nah, like, you're good. Like, this is just a part of it. You know?
Yeah.
This is just fucking part of the deal.
That's what we were talking about, though. That's the stuff that you don't foresee is all the problems.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, man, this is not like, cool.
Yeah, it's like, dude, enjoy this part because you're going to be done with it, and you're not going to be frustrated at the end. You're going to be super stoked and happy, and all this is going to fade away again.
Right.
You know, you're going to forget.
So work has been picking up mad for you. So
yeah, kind of.
Are you getting over that fear of success hump, or
yeah,
it
actually,
seems like it?
So to answer, like, for me, what I kind of do to get through it, I would say I just kind of go about it with kind of a Jocko Willink mindset. I guess I would say, like, I just do it. Like, I just put my head down and just do it. Mm-hmm. Like, I realize the things that I have to do. I always, like, accept it. Because, like, up front to them, I'm like, I'm not going to show them any unease. You know, I'm trying to start the business here. I'm not going to be like, I don't know, I think I can maybe do that. No, I can do that. If there happens to be a problem or something, I can obviously just tell them, like, no, things changed, I couldn't. But up front, I'm always confident with them. And so at least that's good. And then I get all this stuff, and I'm just freaking out a little bit inside. But I just get to work. I think the thing that helps me is drawing up the project. Once I get the project on paper and I solidify it and can put numerical value to it, prices, measurements, the amount of materials, getting that stuff done kind of puts it into a timeline for me, helps me make it more real. Because when you have a bunch of different things, it's easy to, like, overdo it in your head. Oh my gosh, I have all this stuff. How am I going to get all this stuff? Where am I going to have time to do all this stuff? But when you write it down and you jot down your little project notes or whatever you have to do, and you can kind of estimate a time period, you're like, okay, now I know. This is going to be 13 hours. So I'll set that aside. Okay, what's next? This project? Okay. Let me look at my schedule. When can I work this in also? Should I work this in as I work with this other one? Or should I just finish this project completely and then start that one? You know, sometimes you got to juggle. Sometimes people want you to start it right away.
Right.
And, time management, all that, that's a totally different topic. But, yeah, I would say for me, I've just been trying to get to work. And so today, it's been super crazy. My cousin got married. So with all the preparations and that and the event and the drinking, and it's just been a giant blur for the last week, basically. So I just kind of gave myself that time where I was like, I'm not going to stress about anything. I'm not going to worry about anybody's projects. I haven't told anybody that I'm starting anything yet. So I think that's important too, making sure that you make the time for yourself. Because if you don't at least block out a little bit of time, like, you're going to go fucking crazy. So having that time to give yourself the time to just breathe and relax and know you have nothing to do in that time period.
Yeah.
I think that's like really healthy to do. And for me, 100% necessary, because I'll freak out and I can't just stress about projects all the time. I'm pretty good with managing all of that, as long as I can have like a little break from it. But yeah, so I did all that. It's Monday. I'm looking at everything. I'm like, okay, I don't have any other projects up in the queue, whatever set up to do. So I'm going to start working on it right now. I'm working on this vintage record stand type thing. It's kind of a little shelf nook cubby thing with 4 different compartments in it. Yeah. Pretty simple design, wood and some steel legs. But I was just thinking about it today, and I was like, all right, I'm going to write it out. I told him a couple weeks ago that I would do the project, so I'm going to sketch it out. I don't have anything that I need to do right now. So I sketched it out, listed all the parts and the measurements I needed, and then ran to Lowe's and priced everything out for him. I told him about it, told him what the price was going to be. He said, that sounds more than fair, and so now it's time to start it. I got the wood and all the pieces, so it should be fairly simple and straightforward. And that's the actual physical work is where it's like meditative for me. I can just zone out. I know it's pretty similar for you. Once we have the work and it's time to just physically do it, that's the easy stuff.
Right.
It's all the other shit previously, thinking about it, planning it, even drawing it up and doing all that stuff. That's where it's kind of stressful. Once you get to working, it's like, oh, I got this. This is where I'm comfortable. We're fucking grunts. We're laborers. We just do shit. All this other business stuff is kind of foreign to us right now. So that's like super uncomfortable. It takes us out of the comfort zone, and then we just get to work, and it's like, okay, I'm comfortable here. I can do this shit all day. But yeah, so I just try to stay focused on the job that needs to be done right then, because it's easy to get overwhelmed thinking about multiple. And just get the work done and take the steps, even make a list if you have to. And yeah, I think just trying to prepare yourself mentally for the success. Keep yourself calm. Let yourself know that it's not the end of the world. Nothing, I'm not going to die if I don't do this right or something. And for the most part, overall, if you're personable, people are pretty forgiving. So even if you like fuck something up or you messed up something or you needed to take a little bit longer, like I've never had a problem with anybody complaining about like a timeline thing. I usually explain to them to the best of my abilities, how long it's going to be if I need some extra time. And I try to stick to that. I try not to push things back more than once, because I hate that. Everybody wants their stuff right away, Nobody wants to wait, so it sucks when you have to push stuff back. But I try to usually I'll try to explain to them when I do have to delay it that I just over speak on how I want it to be perfect for them. I want them to love it, and something wasn't right, and I need to correct it and do it the absolute perfect way, because it's going to be super badass when it's done. And people are usually like, yeah, like that's what I want. They want to know that you're doing it the best for them. So people are usually pretty good about that when I tell them, like, look, like, I just want to get it perfect. I know I said I'd have it by this week, but it's going to take a little bit longer because it's got to be done right. I can't let it go if it's not done right.
It's definitely good just owning up on certain things. It's
yeah, and usually that's what it is. I'm not usually like just fucking lazy watching TV or something while it's sitting out in the rain.
Right. I've gotten advice in the past to never apologize to a customer, and I think that's bullshit. Especially after doing it for a little while. It's not, it's like, you're human. So it's like, it's cool to show that you actually care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look, man, I'm sorry. It's taking way longer than I said it was going to. But basically what you just said, you're like, I apologize. I'm going to get it to you as soon as possible. You know what helps with me a lot, though? I don't think it'll work for everything. Like, I'm thinking back in my photography days, I don't think it would really work for that. But a lot of my projects are really, really, you know, they're big, drawn out, convoluted, and stuff like that. And I tell people, even in the proposals, you know, with the price and the plans and everything that I give them prior to the project, is I tell them, you know, this is how long I think it's going to take. You will get to see the progress nonstop on Instagram, and that seems to be a hit with people. So if you're doing something that's tangible, you know, that you can see, and you don't mind showing the process of it, it's really helpful for them to see that
you've gotten some work done.
Yeah, it's obvious that stuff is getting done, and even if you're like 3 weeks behind, like I said, those suicide doors, I told that dude it was going to be about 60 days, I think. Holy shit, dude, that took me almost 4 months. So, I mean, that's the ultimate fuck up right there as far as, you know,
timing,
missing your promised date. But
that's crazy.
He got to see the progress, and I was even posting the mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like for that project, I made 2 separate hinges. And so I showed the process of making the first hinges, and I got a lot of flack for that as well. People are like, why are you showing that? But I showed the failure of the first hinges, where I opened up the door and it wouldn't go all the way, and it was just frustrating. And I showed that because I kind of wanted the customer to know, hey, what was going on. And I don't know. I don't think there's anything to hide from, making mistakes, because you're going to fix them. So
I think that there's a couple different mindsets there. So on the one mindset, if you're going to show them, I think it's good. They know that, well, for Instagram purposes, they know, okay, not everything's perfect in this world. I think that's always just kind of a bonus. Like, when people show real shit, like, hey, look, it's not always rainbows and butterflies over here. Sometimes we fucking weld the plate on backwards, and you got to spend the next 3 hours cutting it apart and rewelding it. You know, that shit happens. Yeah. And a lot of people only show, like, perfect shit, so it makes you feel super inadequate. So that can be helpful to a lot of people, you know, to know that you're human too, shit happens, whatever. So that can kind of be helpful for other people. On the other side of it, I do think that there is something special about the reveal.
Yeah.
There's something special about having mystery into something, and for the longest time, for all of my projects, I would post, like you said, I would post every step, show it coming along, being made, each piece cut, each piece welded together, the wood, whatever I was doing. On this last one that I was doing for a customer, I built this shelf thing, and I didn't post anything that she could see. I would like put it like to my friends on like Snapchat or whatever.
Right.
For like certain people, because I still like that feeling of getting it out as you're doing it. You know, it's kind of like reassurance that people know that you like do stuff. You know, it kind of like it kind of boosts me up, makes my ego inflate a little bit.
I know what you're saying.
Okay, like he's doing some cool stuff. But as far as for her, she didn't see anything. So she saw a drawing on a piece of paper that was terrible, by the way. And then, voila, I brought it to her house, and I even told her when I got there, I said, I had to bring it in multiple pieces because it was a steel frame with wood on it, and the wood pieces I had to take off for transport. So I told her when I get there, I'm going to put it all together right outside of her door, and then I'll bring it in, and then I want her to look at it after I bring it in and get it set up. And so like I went kind of to the extreme end of it, to where I don't want you to look at anything. I don't want you to watch me placing this wood onto the steel frame. I want you to turn around and boom, this new piece of furniture is in your house. It's completely built.
Did you put like a big satin sheet over it too and you carried it in?
No, I just brought it in, and then voila, she saw it, and she was super stoked on it. She was pumped. She loved it. And it's like, money's cool, but goddamn, that shit feels good when you made something that didn't exist. You know, maybe there's similar things like it, but it's custom. She gave me the measurements, told me how she wanted it set up, the color stain on the wood, the color paint on the metal, all of that. These fancy hooks that she gave them to me, and it was exactly what she wanted. It was perfect. She was texting me after I left. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I still can't believe how cool it was. And like, that is fucking crazy to me. It feels so good. I love that.
So now I'm a little jealous.
Of what?
Of that.
Oh, like people talking about it?
No, just the whole reveal thing. Now I feel like...
Like you should have done the reveal.
Well, no, like, I feel like, especially, like I said, my projects last a really long time, so I feel like there needs to be both. But maybe, you know, as it gets, you know, you've been doing it for a while, they know you're working on it, and as it starts to get close and it's starting to come together and it's starting to look like something, or maybe if it's something like that photo booth I did, for example, before it gets painted or something like that, that's when everything goes dark. Instagram, you know, there's nothing on Instagram, there's nothing to see. It's like, hey... Yeah. It's done, you know, come check it out. They come pick it up. They get that big reveal. I get that, you know, that thing that I'm craving right now. Thank you very much. That would be...
I would say, in order to achieve both, get very creative with the photos, which I know you can do, obviously, and just do teaser photos where you can't even tell what the fuck it is. So like, say you're building that photo booth,
right,
and first shot all you get is like some metal welded. You get like a cool weld. It's like a cool weld picture, and then you post like, starting the photo booth. So they know it's theirs. They see the picture to pair to it, but you can't really see what it is. You can't tell what it looks like, can't tell anything about it. And then the next one, it's like, oh, got this box fully boxed up, got this put on top, and then there's like another kind of like a sly little sneaky teaser pic. And then and then once you go to like take it all painted, no pictures, so they can't see what the paint looks like. They can't see, you know, if it's glossy, whatever, however, powder coat, whatever you want. But yeah, maybe just kind of, so there are pictures, they know that it's that, but they can't see it. They can't put it all together yet. And then the reveal is, boom, all these things come together, and then they're like, oh, I recognize that weld. That's fucking cool. It's right there. I recognize this handle. Maybe a little handle. You took a picture of that. And it's like, I've seen some things like that where it's like, oh, what is it? What is it? Show me it. I think that almost actually builds it up more than no pictures at all.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you get your beak wet a little bit, and you're like, oh, whatever that piece is, that looks so cool. Can't wait to see it all together. So maybe that's like the ticket.
I would agree with that.
Getting like creative a little.
One of the books I was reading not all that long ago actually talked about that, and I think I kind of just brushed it off. Not that, but the whole to not post the process because people aren't interested in the process. And it's almost more beneficial for somebody, let's say, that makes something that they don't know how it's made. Kind of like a magician. Nobody knows how the magician, you know, does their tricks, and it's the performance itself that's fascinating.
Yeah, once you find out how the card trick is done, you're like, oh, that's not cool.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
And so this guy in this book, I wish I could give him credit, and I can't even give him credit because I can barely remember what he was saying, but it was basically that showing, you know, behind the curtains isn't as beneficial as you think it might be. You want to show all the hard work that you're putting into it, but it's best to leave it to people's imaginations that, wow, that must have been really hard to do.
Yeah.
So where I'm trying to get people to see how hard something is, ironically, you're
making it human. You're making it possible, basically. Where when they look at this fully welded up steel frame or a desk or something, they're like, I have no clue what steps you did to do this. Right. I have no clue the process. Like, how the hell did you make this? How did you do these rollers? How did you do this drawer? I wouldn't even know where to start. That's what you want. And it's funny because you had told me that before, that somebody was saying how you don't want to show the process because you want to kind of keep it a secret, and that's what I was thinking about on the last one I was building it.
See, that might be an issue though with me, because part of me is liking to build stuff with my hands, but also part of me, I've always wanted to teach people. And I'm a terrible teacher, and I'm getting better at talking now, but I've always just, I like the feeling of showing people, and like Instagram is a great medium because people will ask, how to do certain things, and that's when I really start feeling good, and I can open up, and the things that I know the most about, like whatever it is, suspension geometry or something like that, it's like, yes, let me tell you exactly what you need to know, and it makes me feel good. So it's like very, very self-centered, but I mean, it's not just, there's two different sides of it. There's the product itself.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And then the connection that I make with people.
Is
another one.
Well, there's a divide between the customer and then other people like us that like making stuff.
Right.
And it's hard because on Instagram, I know I've talked to you about this before, with Instagram, it's interesting figuring out who you get to follow you, kind of.
Yeah.
And who you follow. So I have a separate photography Instagram.
Right.
And it's like when I first got it, I was just following other photographers that I liked and trying to get them to follow me. And then after a while I realized, well, this is kind of supposed to be like a business account for my photography. Other photographers aren't going to be buying my work. I need normal people to buy it.
Yeah.
So I need those people to follow me, not other professional photographers. I'm like, that's just weird.
Yeah.
But since that's what I'm into, is seeing what other people's stuff looks like, appreciating photography, I would just follow them and comment and like and do all this stuff and try to get them to follow me as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah, the only people that aren't going to hire you.
Yeah. And so it's kind of the same thing with, you talk about like showing the process. It's like, that's for those people that are into fabrication and are doing it.
Okay.
And so they want to see that stuff. The customers, they don't want to see that. I mean, they might want to see it, but it's more beneficial if they don't see that. So there's two groups of people here that we're talking about.
Right.
So I am totally the same way. I want to show other people because I love it when people that I like to follow and they make cool shit. I love seeing how they did it because I'm like, oh, I love their work. I wonder what their take is on it. What's their perspective? And when they show it, I'm like, oh, this is gold. I didn't have to go to any class. This person just put it up here for free.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to do that as well, to kind of give back. It's that whole give back to the next generation that's coming up, trying to make shit, learning from you or whatever. But it's difficult because you do kind of got to separate the customers from them.
Yeah. That'll definitely be hard for me, though, too, because I would say it probably would not be over-exaggerated to say 90% of my customers come from Instagram.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And I guess there's no way of knowing it. Maybe it's both. Maybe they're seeing the end product. These end users are coming to me because they see what I've built and they're not really interested in how it was built. Or maybe they are. I guess that's what those surveys are for. I need to start surveying people. Where did you hear about us? Why did you hire us?
Yeah. Who recommended you?
Where do you live? How old are you? How many kids do you have?
Yeah, on the topic of kind of posting stuff for other fellow creators or makers, I try to like be involved in the community somewhat, even though it's like Instagram, whatever, like I try to be involved in that because like these are real people on the other end, and sometimes it's difficult and we all get caught up in the internet and how wild and crazy it is, and you can reach out to so many people it almost feels like they're not real people, but for the most part they are. And so I try to maintain that kind of sense of community. Like on my photography page, I try to stay up with what everybody's doing, and like I'll even help other people out. I've seen, for example, I saw this one model, and she was posting some pictures. She was doing kind of like a product thing. It was actually like a sponsored Instagram ad for this company that kind of like sponsors her for doing stuff. It was like some athletic thing, and I could tell she just took the photos on her phone, or somebody took them with their phone, and they were just cell phone pictures. And I could have easily been like, hey, I could do some product photography stuff for you, or some action photos or whatever. But I knew of this other photographer that like that was his specialty. He fucking knocks it out of the park with like fitness stuff and doing things like that, where he has like people that like work out and stuff, and he takes pictures, and they're so sick. And so instead of me asking her if she wanted me to shoot with her, I actually went kind of what people would think is counterintuitive, and I linked her up with this other guy. I commented on there. I'm like, hey, I don't know if you've ever shot with this guy. He's local as well in Vegas, and he takes some of the most badass fitness photography. So, and then he commented on it like below that, and they were both kind of like, no, we've never worked together, but let's make it happen. And he was like, thanks, dude. Like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
And like, I know I would fucking freak out. That'd be super awesome if somebody did that for me. And I would like, that shit always comes back to help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like,
agree with that.
Anytime you have the opportunity to like do somebody a solid and help somebody out, like it feels good, and like 99% of the time, like it'll come back to help you out in some way,
I definitely
so
agree
it's
with
always
that.
a good thing.
I live my life that way, and it's not necessarily going to come from that guy either. Too, it's not
Yeah,
necessarily how it works.
Yeah,
it's
just kind of. It feels like it just kind of evens out in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fear of success.
Freaking tangent again.
Along with fucking what to post on Instagram. I mean, it all goes together with building stuff up.
I'm going to say an inaccurate quote to kind of bring us back to the...
Ooh, that sounds neat.
To the fear of success thing. So don't fact check it, but I've heard that something like, let's just say a high percentage, 90% of fears are things that never come true.
Yeah.
It's all in our head. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
that's what a fear is. It's in your head. But, I mean, when it comes to, being scared about something that may possibly happen, a huge percent of them aren't actually going to happen, and it's just some situation that you concocted in your mind to, just basically fuck with yourself. So, just dive in there. I think you got into that real deep about, once you start doing it, the fear starts to melt away.
Yeah.
You realize that kind of what you were so scared of isn't really there.
Yeah, it's typically leading up to the thing. Doing the thing is usually not that scary. At my cousin's wedding, I was the best man, and so I had to give a speech. I had to stand up in front of all these people. A lot of people I didn't know, a lot of people I did know. And everybody's looking at me, and they're expecting some decent words to come out of my mouth because I told them that I was giving a speech.
Yeah, because you have your own podcast.
Yeah. And maybe that's helped me with conversation stuff, because I haven't spoken publicly. I mean, obviously this isn't the same thing, but still, I mean, we're talking and doing
different
stuff. But honestly, I just kind of got into the zone and said my speech, and I wasn't like worried about it at all. It was fine. But yeah, that's something that Will Smith said in some motivational video one time. He was saying that like pure bliss is just on the other side of fear, and the fear stops as soon as you start doing the thing that you're afraid of most times.
Right.
He was talking about like skydiving. He said he was freaking out the night before. He couldn't sleep. The whole ride to the airport, he's freaking out. Didn't want to do it. He thought about backing out. Gets on the plane. They're up in the plane. He's scared. And then they jump out of the plane, and then they're actually skydiving. And he's like, this is fucking awesome. And it's like, dude, like how true is that with so many things? It's like so scary. And then actually do the thing that you're so scared of, and you're like, oh, that's not so bad. You just psych yourself out. You make it so big in your head. So,
well, not only doing it kind of unveils the fact that it may not be as scary as you thought it was, but let's just say, like, public speaking, that's a big fear of everybody's. That's one of mine. That's one of my secret goals with this podcast. Is I want somebody to ask me to speak one day, and I want to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Without a problem. I want. I don't know.
It's exciting.
I don't think I necessarily want to be a speaker, but I want to be able to be a speaker, and I want to do it at least once or twice. But the point is that speaking in front of people is very scary, and that's something that even when they're doing it, they're still terrified. And when they're done, they were like, fuck that. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever gone through. But still doing it is still how you get over your fear. So even if it's something that's genuinely scary, that's how you get over your fears, is doing it.
Yeah.
And
getting used to it.
Fear is kind of a natural reaction in your brain, the whole fight or flight response. Your brain wants you to be comfy. Your brain doesn't want you to get in trouble. Your brain doesn't want you to get out of that comfort zone because there may be death on the other side of whatever that is that you're scared of. And so the only way you can train your brain into being less scared with things is to do them. And eventually your brain will kind of chill out a little bit and be like, oh, I'm not dying.
Yeah, you almost like fatigue the fear muscle. You just do it and bludgeon yourself with it until you're like, all right, I give up. Like, I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah.
I guess I can say that I haven't really experienced that a whole lot, only with weddings. I'm also a photographer. I did weddings. That is terrifying when you're somebody like me who doesn't like to speak in front of people and you're very timid. And now when you're the photographer at a wedding on, the most important day of many people's lives, you suddenly have to be a boss. And I am not a boss. I've never have been. And so that's rough to get in there and start, pushing people around, nicely. But you got to push people around. You got to be assertive. And that wasn't me. And that was absolutely terrifying every time. But after, the 200th something wedding, the fear just kind of melts away.
You've done that many?
Like in the 500s.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't realize there was that many. You're getting after it for a while there. How many years, of weddings?
Started in 2005, and I did it solidly up until about maybe 3 years ago.
Damn. That's fucking crazy. It's a shitload of wedding.
Yeah.
Woo.
It's a lot of money. It was good. I guess I just kind of burn out on it.
Yeah. I think if you did it differently now, I think that you would be more interested in it. I think if you did it more freelance style, like a lot of people do, I think you would enjoy it way more than through a company.
Well, I think we talked about this recently. For photography in particular, there's so many people out there doing it for so cheap. Photographers are worth a lot of money, but there's so many people that are doing it for dirt cheap, just trying to get their name out there. Everybody's a fucking photographer now. And that's okay. I mean, people have come a long way. It used to be everybody was a photographer, but most of them suck. And nowadays, it's like you look at cell phone pictures, and they're really good. And you're like, oh, man, this is what I'm competing with now? But you got these people that are actually doing a really good job now. Good job, guys. But they're not charging enough.
Yeah.
You can't make a living off of it anymore. I think that's what saturation is. There's so many people out there, and that everybody's fighting, and everybody's trying to get the job, and so everybody has to lower their prices, and then, it screws all the people that actually made the living from it.
Yeah. Yep.
Just making excuses, though.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up, and hopefully you guys get to pick something out of that you like, or maybe just something that you can relate to. Let us know if there's different ways that you've dealt with fear of success, or overcome it or anything like that, feel free to comment or write us. We're on Instagram and YouTube and a bunch of different places. So always feel free to reach out, and we're always here to talk to and ask questions or debate or whatever you guys want.
Hey, give us an idea for a topic, man. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
Something you want to hear about. I don't know if you crave other people's opinions about anything, but yeah, something you want to hear.
Yeah, that'd be neat. Because we kind of just spitball ideas back and forth, and we kind of land on one before we start, unless something's truly burning that comes up during the week.
Yep, and then we barely talk about that. We go on tangents.
Yeah, we wander. But yeah, if you could give us something else you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know. We have kind of an interesting perspective on things because we do so many different things. So if you want any of that, let us know.
Subscribe.
Please.
There's a new one coming next week.
Yep. We release them every Monday morning for your viewing and listening pleasure.
All
right. See you guys later.
Crush your dreams. Go crush some fears.
Yeah. Get 'em.